Sorry, this video is late. I wasn't feeling well and decided to just lounge in bed all day Sunday. Worth. Every week I make a video highlighting any video game news that interests me because although Nico and I play a lot of games, he tends to be pretty oblivious to news about them while I'm pretty obsessed with it. So here's everything I think Nico should know about in game news the week of August 14th, 2022. First up, notable releases. Cult of the Lamb released on PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and PC on August 11th. On August 12th, THQ Nordic streamed their 2022 digital showcase. They showed off a bunch of cool upcoming games. Personally, I'm looking forward to two of them. The first is a reboot of horror game Alone in the Dark from Pieces Interactive. I've never played an Alone in the Dark game, but since this one is being written by Mikael Hedberg, the writer of Amnesia, Dark Descent, and Soma, I can't pass it up. Plus, it's often considered the game that started the survival horror genre, so it's a classic. Although they're using many settings and story elements from the original game, it's getting a new story, so it's a reboot and not a remake. The original released on MS-DOS in 1992 and has been remade a few times already. Some would say not very successfully either, so a reimagining sounds like a good way to go. There's no release date yet, but it will be releasing on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. The other game they showed off that I'm interested in is the remake of Gothic, an action role-playing game that was originally released in 2001 on PC. This is another example of a game that I've heard of many times, but I've never played. I know that some people get frustrated with all these remakes and reboots, but I really appreciate that they let me try games that I never got to experience since I didn't get into video games until I was well into adulthood. Going back and playing old games can be fun, but frustrating when I have to deal with outdated control schemes and such. According to developer Alchemia Interactive on the game's Steam page, it will feature a modernized combat system that takes the basic premises of the original combat system to the modern age. Again, we have no release date, but when it does release, it will be on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. There were a bunch of other games they showed off during the showcase, including a new Jagged Alliance, a bunch of strategy games, and a new SpongeBob SquarePants game. At the very end, they even teased that a new South Park game is in development, but no other details. I highly recommend checking out the full showcase at the link in the description below. Nightingale, the upcoming survival game from Inflection Games, is being delayed. Originally planned for later this year, they are now planning on releasing early access sometime during the first half of 2023. According to the developers, they are doing this for two reasons. The first is to upgrade to Unreal Engine 5. The second is to deliver the best possible experience. No offense, but I'm really getting tired of hearing people say this. Not because I don't want the best possible experience. I am absolutely one of those people that would prefer a delayed good game over a rushed bad game any day. I just wish people wouldn't announce games until they were damn well good and ready. Oh well, that's just more time for me to play all the other stuff coming out this year. And Unreal Engine 5? Everything I've seen of the new Unreal Engine 5 looks amazing, so this makes me even more excited about it. And finally, the really important stuff. On Friday, August 12th, Final Fantasy XIV Online's producer and director Naoki Yoshida streamed the latest letter from the producer live. This was part 2 of the live letters focusing on the upcoming patch for the game 6.2. We got a new trailer and a release date, August 23rd. That's next week Tuesday. I can't wait. The entire presentation clocked in at around 3 hours or so, and it covered a lot of information. Patch 6.2 is called Buried Memory, and it's got a lot of new content. First up, there will be new main scenario quests and a new story dungeon called the Fell Court of Troya. The trailer had Final Fantasy IV battle music, which had better be in that dungeon. There will also be a story-related trial, but they didn't share any info on it to avoid spoilers. We'll also get a continuation of Tataru's adventures, an Unreal version of Containment Bay S1T7 or Sephiroth for Faux Hollows, new tomestones called Causality, new crafted Disciple of War and Magic gear, and the ability to request gear repairs from other players, including while in dungeons. No more leaving raid prog because you need to repair your gear at a vendor. The Glamour Dresser will be increasing its capacity from 400 to 800. Now if they would just increase the number of items I could place in my house. Patch 6.2 also brings the next set of 8-man raids called Pandemonium Abyssos, which looks like it will be the Dungeon of La Habrea. Unlike previous releases, the Savage version of these raids will be only 1 week after the release of Normal instead of 2. The dev team is experimenting with this release schedule to see how it affects things. But perhaps the most exciting thing about 6.2 is the introduction of the Island Sanctuary. Ever since they announced this content, people have been anxiously waiting for it. Each player will get their own island, and they will be able to gather materials, farm, care for animals, build things, sell crafts, and other laid-back mellow things. During the live letter, Yoshi P explained that the tutorial will probably take around 2.5 hours, but reiterated several times that he wanted us to play this content yukkuri, which is Japanese for leisurely or without haste. I think he's worried that we all try hard too much and need to relax. I'm inclined to agree with him sometimes, to be honest. In any case, the island is huge and I can't wait. Yoshi P also gave us more information about the additional content coming later in the 6.2 patch cycle, most notably the stuff coming in 6.25. This will introduce the Omicron Tribal Quest, which players will be able to use to level up their Disciple of the Land or Gathering jobs. I can't wait to max out that rep since the mount looks great. You ride around inside a floating blue blob. This patch will also introduce the Manderville Gear Quests, which are like epic gear quests, and a brand new type of content called Variant Dungeons and Criterion Dungeons. Variant Dungeons are designed for casual play and have no party job restrictions. Criterion Dungeons require a tank, healer, and 2 DPS, and there will also be Savage versions. This is the first time they're implementing Savage 4-man content, which I am really excited about. I look forward to challenging myself in Savage Criterion Dungeons because it's a lot easier to get a group of 4 people together than a group of 8. There was also information about adventurer plates and job changes. If you want to see everything, check it out via the link in the description below. Be advised, though, that while the slides have English translations on them, the audio is all in Japanese. And that's it for news this week. I'm still plugging away at Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I'm about 62 hours in. There's a new season in Tribes of Midgard coming out on Tuesday, so Nico and I will be playing that on stream this week while we wait for Final Fantasy XIV's patch 6.2. Join me again next week for more news and adventure. Until then, play lots of games and have an awesome week.